come join me today as I make this colorful and delightful Amaranth Tabouli recipe. It is very easy to make this tabouli salad, and it's only going to take you a few minutes to put it together. I start by adding 1 cup of cooked amaranth to a glass bowl, and it's okay if it's all clumpy and stuck together and sticky, because when we add the other ingredients, it's all going to come together really nicely. So next I add finely diced curly parsley, and if you don't want to dice it by hand, you can easily just put it into a food processor and let it do the fine dicing for you. So now I'm going to add about 1/4 of a red onion, which is about 2/3 of a cup of red onion. And I really prefer my red onions to be finely diced, because they're going to go evenly over all the other tiny ingredients in this recipe. But if you can't get it finely diced, just make sure you get them as small as you can, and it will taste really good and it will flavor the tabouli evenly. Can I just take a time out here for a second and admire just how beautiful and colorful this recipe looks? Look at the greens of the parsley and the reds of the onions, and even the light brown shade peeking out from behind for the amaranth. It's just too good. I mean, this recipe really is colorful and so delicious. Now I add 1 Roma tomato. The Roma tomato is firm and not ripe, because a soft, juicy Roma tomato actually ruins the flavors of this recipe, and it also makes the tabouli very runny and watery, and that's just not what a tabouli should really taste like. So now I get to add my favorite spice called za'atar. This is actually a spice that is common in Middle Eastern cooking and a lot of Palestinian, Lebanese cooking. I actually used it in a mixed nuts recipe, and I'm going to put a link for it below so that you can go look at it. It's one of my favorite new spices, and I just gush all over it in my post about using it in all kinds of recipes. Now I'm going to add hemp seeds to this. It's a little strange, I know, to add hemp seeds because it's not a natural ingredient used in tabouli. But the reason I added it is because I thought this recipe needed a little bit of the good kind of fat. So I tried with avocado, but it didn't really taste too well. And I also tried flax seeds, but I didn't like the color that flaxseed gave to this recipe. So I thought hemp seeds actually works really well in this recipe. It sort of hides itself so nobody can see it, but you can also get the benefits of eating hemp seeds. Vegan, I'm always struggling to get the good kind of fats into my diet, and you can only eat so many avocados. I kind of get tired of them after a while, so I try to incorporate like hemp seeds or flax seeds, things that can be good for you but you don't taste it or you don't see it. Add 1 lemon that I cut into half. Now start with just half a lemon and see how you like the tang. I found that it was a little light on the tang, that's why I went with the whole lemon, but I know some people who would prefer not to put so much lemon in it. So just take your own taste into account before adding the whole or half of a lemon. So now I get to add salt to this. Now it says 1/8 teaspoon, but I actually ended up adding another 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, so that came out to about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Some people actually thought that was a little less when I made them taste it, but I wouldn't recommend putting more than about a half teaspoon of salt. Remember, you're also adding za'atar, which has a little bit of saltiness to it also. So stay within about half a teaspoon of salt and this will taste great. So I just give it a quick mix before I add any of the oil to it. Now this is not necessary, but one, I did it because I'm very impatient and I just wanted to see what it looked and tasted like before I add the oil. And 2, also when you add the oil, it's time to start marinating the flavors. So if you want to add something else after that, you'll notice that it doesn't take the flavors as easily as if without the oil. So just give it a quick stir, and then we're going to add the olive oil to it. Now, traditional tabouli calls for a lot of oil. I see it mostly oil in a lot of tabouli recipes, and that's perfectly alright, but I really wanted to keep this on the healthy side as much as possible. So what I ended up doing is just use about a quarter cup of extra virgin olive oil. I think maybe quarter cup is even a little bit too much, so I would probably have gone with maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons at the most. It's up to you. If you're a purist, I totally understand. Go with the quarter cup or more of olive oil in this, but personally I would suggest just keeping it at a quarter cup. At this point, all you have to do is chill it in the refrigerator for about half an hour to an hour, and it's ready to serve. You can serve it with pita bread, you can serve it with yogurt. The possibilities are endless. Personally, I ate it right out of the bowl because I just couldn't wait to try it. It looks so good. Just look at it. It's so colorful. It is a feast for your eyes. It's a feast for your soul. So make it today and come back and tell me what you thought of it. I always love hearing from my readers, and I always love seeing the pictures you send me of the recipes you've made. So don't stop. Send me your images of this tabouli recipe, and I will see you in the next video.